Okay, fam, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over the buy, sells, and dividends for January 5th through the 11th. So with that being said, let's get it. Okay, so before I go into all of this content, I had a little bit to think about it, and I wanted to just kind of throw this out there that it is a possibility that the markets may be dumping over the last couple of weeks into January because of the fact that they're smart and forward looking and they're pricing everything bad that could possibly happen in ahead of time. And then it'll immediately reverse course after Trump's inauguration. It might even happen before then. That's kind of my thesis. And I'm aware of the January effect. Okay, usually if we don't get a Christmas rally, that's a bad sign. Obviously, that didn't happen, right? Um, if the first week of January is not green, that's also not a great sign, right, for the rest of the year. I'm aware of these things. Again, we haven't actually talked about it, but you guys can see that, the first week of January here, not really so great. Do I think this means we're going into a full blown bear market? No, I don't think so. Part of the reason I think this is the case is because this is exactly the thing that Wall Street would try to do to fool people into believing that all hell is about to break loose and the markets are just going to dump straight off a cliff. That's exactly why I think it's not going to happen. Okay, I think this is a fake out, and the markets are going to push higher here pretty soon. Exactly when that's going to happen, I don't know. We will just have to wait and see. But for now, we are still within this channel. So as long as that is the case, I'd say we're okay. All right. So, anyways, let's get into the content here. I did want to give a shout out to Janice Hilton for the super thanks. Thank you for that. Yes, regardless of how busy things get, it is always my goal to make sure that you guys are not left hanging. Okay. All right. So the M1 Finance dividends, we're going to go over these real quick. So we got Walmart 2 cents, Nvidia 32.04, RYLD 23 cents, and again 8.63. MPW a combined total of 312 and ACP $23.88. Unfortunately, ACP just recently had a dividend cut. Is what it is. I mean, it's a monthly paying dividend stock, so we're not really too concerned about it. If anything, we're going to be looking to buy more. So, because this is one of those positions we want to get up to $50 a month. It's pretty rare for them to have a cut. Actually, I think they've only had it like twice ever since inception, if I'm not mistaken. We can go over that in a separate video, but it's not very common. So, and once the QE comes back in, they can always re-raise the dividend. So, not really too much of a concern. Okay, so let's see here. Where was it? Okay, so the Robinhood account, we closed out some of the call debit spreads. We're probably going to get rid of the rest of these this next week. Even if we can't get rid of them because for whatever reason there's not a bid on it, it should just expire worthless. That's usually how these things work. With the credit spreads, I can't really speak to those. I just know that for the debit spreads, because you pay money up front to get into the trade, the outcome is either you make money by expiration, before expiration, or at the expiration date, either you make money or you don't. If you don't make money, well, you lost your initial investment. In this case, we would have lost our initial investment in this. So is what it is. Not too concerned about it. There's no options premiums this week. Again, we are just kind of sitting on Soxel. We we could have closed this for $68, a lot less than what we received in premiums. But again, we're trying to kind of let it ride out, see what's going to happen, because if the price of Soxel goes back up before the expiration date, which could definitely happen. I mean, this is the expiration date here is the 24th of this month. The inauguration is on the 20th. If for some reason Soxel decide it wants to start ripping between now and then, which wouldn't shock me at all given all the macros, indicators and all that stuff, we want to kind of close out for pennies on the dollar as close to expiration as possible, and or roll the contract up and out for more premium and more profits. So that's the reason why we haven't touched this position yet, even though we could close for a profit right now. Or I should say we could have as of yesterday. So in terms of the Robinhood buys, so we bought some Coney, we bought mainly CLSK and SPYT. And the dividends, YMAX $49.23, NVDY $229.69, YMAG $75, MRNY $25.09. Again, I think Moderna has pretty much hit a bottom at this point. It does appear to be recovering. We'll go over that in a separate video. GPIX 35 cents, GPIQ, which is the NASDAQ version, $3.86. YMAG $38.15, QDTE $20.54, and Coney $337.68. And then last but not least, YMAX $38. So the M1 Finance dividends comes out to $67.92. Robinhood dividends comes out to $817.59, and then the total here is $885.51. Now, keep in mind, I do also still trade futures. Okay, so made quite a bit of money doing that, but again, that is a separate. That's an entirely separate thing. At some point, I'll be releasing content for that for you guys. It's just not going to happen anytime soon. At least I don't think so. So, anyways, we'll go over the. Let's see. You know what? Let's do the dividends first. So we'll cover that first, and then we'll go over the actual buys. Okay, so we got the dividends here. You can see on the 6th, and then 22 hours ago, right there for YMAX. Okay, sorry, y'all. I don't know why this is taking so long. Okay, next one here, NVIDIA. So there's the dividends right there. See, next one down here is YMAG, and yeah, we'll probably do YMAG first because again, we got double payments on these because of the holidays last week, so you can see it there. And then we just have, let's see, MRNY, GPIC, and QDTE and Coney. So Coney's right there. We'll do Coney as well. I think that okay, so there's the dividend for Coney. Yeah, I think a lot of these stocks that you guys are these dividend ETFs that you guys see. I think the underlying for a lot of these are pretty much at rock bottom at this point, and I think they're pretty good buys. That's just my opinion. Do your own research on that. I can cover some of these on the charts here in a minute, just to show you guys what I mean. Okay, so next one here, QDTE. So there's that $28.54. Okay, MRNY unfortunately did not survive, or I should say Moderna did not survive the day yesterday because, yeah, unfortunately, for whatever reason, the markets thought that the really hot surprise to the upside on jobs data was a bad thing. And I was like, well, I've been telling y'all forever that was likely going to happen, right? That the job market was either going to stay flat, meaning that there was plenty of jobs and or go up, and that the unemployment rate would stay flat, which it did. It actually came down recently. So it went from 4.2% to 4.1%. That's exactly how it's supposed to go into Trump's inauguration. It makes it easier for him to expand the job market, keep unemployment relatively low while simultaneously getting inflation under control, all this other nonsense under control, and bringing the Fed funds rate down to quantitative easing, right? That's kind of the goal. Okay, so MRNY January 6th, you guys can see here. It's pretty much meant for a seamless transition is what I kind of see happening going on here. And again, I know a lot of you guys hate to wax politics, but it matters, okay? When Trump and his gang or whatever come into office on the 20th, they're going to have a whole bunch of different policy changes. So that does affect finance. I've told you guys before that whales and billionaires and all that, Wall Street, they would literally will trade or position themselves in accordance with upcoming political shifts in policy. Okay. Just smart money moves. That's the way it works. Doesn't mean they're working in tandem. It just means that they're changing their strategy based on what the upcoming policies are going to be. All right, so GPIC here at 386. And then GPIC's 35 cents. So I'm actually going to pop on here for a second and show you guys this. So I think GPIC's, is it GPIC, and GPIC and SPYT, in my opinion, right now are actually a pretty good buy. And again, this is more so for dividend investors, but you see the max time frame here on GPIC is up 10%, but over the last month, you have about a $1.34 pullback. I mean, if you guys are looking to get more for less, this is your opportunity. GPIC's obviously going to look like the same thing, and then SPYT, since we're going into the buys, I'll just show you guys that right now. So, like I told you before, SPYT will usually kind of hover around $20 when the market's green, right? It always kind of reverts back to that level. What I want to point out, very similar to before, is each time that we had a dip down below $20, what happened? We eventually went back up to $20. So if you guys are looking for a little bit more than that 20% dividend, this is kind of the, in my opinion, the way to measure it, to potentially get the as many shares for as cheap as humanly possible. Okay, so let's go over the dividend buys real quick. So not a whole lot here. 1.04 on the 8th, 2.63 on the 10th, 2.63 on the 10th, 10 shares on the 10th. I mean, again, we're kind of scaling into this over time. It's more of a long-term play. It's not so much like we're just trying to position trade all at once. We'll take like little bits here and there as it makes sense to do so. Okay, CLSK, so you can see we got 1,900 shares here, just under $14 on this one. And you can see there's the closing of the call debit spread, basically for flat, for zero, minus the options fees or whatever. So 40 shares here on the 10th, average price below $10. And last but not least, okay, it's not popping up. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, 1 second, y'all. All right, so let's see here. Last one, Coney. We may or may not buy more Coney. I'm pretty confident it's going to go back above $21. I'm not too worried about it. It's just a matter of getting the crypto bull run going. So you can see we bought 1.38 shares here on the 6th. Okay, so you saw the channel on the S&P. That's one indicator that suggests we're probably likely at a bottom. Obviously showed you this one before, and I don't know where the other lines went on this. For some reason, they disappeared. But every single time we hit not every single time perfectly, but you guys can kind of more or less see that we hit a bottom right around that previous peak, right? And the idea here is to help you guys to realize a recurring theme, right? So every single time we made a peak, broke out, what do? We come back and retest it and then went higher. This is what's known as a flip zone, and you guys can see we did not exactly, but something very similar here as well, with the exception of this April pullback. Well, no, I take that back. The April pullback is actually not even part of that. So, yeah, anyways, ignore what I just said there. So we got this breakout here, and then we retested, kind of got down below it a little bit, but these were pretty much more or less undercuts. So with this one right here, I'm actually expecting something very similar. I know it appears that we have actually broken this golden line, but we did so back here too, and then it eventually went back up as well. So there's that. A lot of these charts on these individual stocks and even on the cryptocurrencies on the 4 hourly time frame are flashing oversold. Usually when that happens, that indicates a pretty major bottom. We have the stocks above the S&P 500. Above the 50 day on the S&P 500 at historic lows here. According to the last 5 years, we've only had this 6 times. And then the NASDAQ one was a little bit more frequent. So about 10 times in the area that we're at currently, but I mean, still 10 times in 5 years, that's pretty rare. That's like once every 6 months. Okay, so just wanted to give you guys some examples of some of these stocks that are massively oversold. And again, with only 16% of the stocks above their 50-day on the S&P, that's only 80 out of 500 stocks that are actually above their 50-day. Okay, so we got another oversold signal here. Last time we got one, boom, took off to the upside, back here, back here. Let's take a look at Tesla, for example. Yeah, so this one just recently hit one again. Nice big fat bounce. Last time we saw that, it was an absolute ripper, and then another ripper before that. I think actually NVIDIA should also, if I'm not mistaken. NVIDIA is not quite oversold, but it did get oversold back here in December. You can see what happened. We absolutely took off like a beast to the upside, went up $20 a share. So if you managed to make money on that, congrats. Soxel is another good example. We got oversold back here in November, and it didn't go up a lot, but it did go up from trough to peak, about $7 a share. Let's see what else I can find in here that I can show you guys. I believe some of the miners also recently had these readings, so you can see not perfectly oversold, but if I line up the crosshairs here with the bottoms on these RSIs every single time, you can see that we did have a pretty nice bounce on the miners. Okay, some were smaller, some were bigger. It just depends on which one it was. Even CLSK, nice recent bottom here, right around $9. Boom, took off to the upside. Last time that happened, it did a 2x. And then before that, obviously, it did even more than that. It went, well, basically, ultimately from 8 all the way up to 18. And then back here, even had a nice little bounce as well. So the miners are showing the same thing. Even some of these, if I'm not mistaken, some of these quantum computing stocks also have recently hit oversold. Yeah, so this one here, QUBT, recently oversold. The last time that we saw this on this stock was all the way back here in June of 24 when it was less than $1 a share. And obviously you guys know what happened after that, right? 27x, pretty massive gains. So, okay, yeah, maybe Serve is not one of those. SoundHound might be one of these. Yeah, so SoundHound is starting to show pretty oversold on the 4 hourly time frame. Last time we got one of these, even this relatively small move here before it went absolutely stupid, was still a pretty nice gain. So about 34% from 430 to roughly about $6. And I can even show you guys, I believe Bitcoin also had the same thing. Okay. Yeah. So Bitcoin recently oversold. What happened? Nice little pump up here from 92 to 95,000. Ethereum, same thing, from 3,100 up to 3,300 now. So you guys kind of get my point, right? So a lot of these different stocks, not just the major indicators like the stocks above the S&P, for the 50-day moving average, a lot of these individual stocks are showing the same exact oversold signal right around the same time. So lots of golden dip buying opportunities out there for you guys if you want to take advantage of them. Pick your poison. There's plenty of opportunity in the markets. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all later. Peace.